President Trump ramping up his law and order messaging and positioning himself as hard on crime. But what is his record, and does his rhetoric match up with reality? NBC News Now correspondent Simone Boyce takes a look.
I am the law and order candidate. I am your president of law and order.
Since the start of his political career, President Trump has made the case that he's tough on crime. But does the rhetoric match the reality? In 2016, Trump's Law and Order campaign focused on a range of issues, like securing the border, cracking down on gangs, and supporting law enforcement.
America's police and law enforcement personnel are what separates civilization from total chaos and the destruction of our country as we know it.
Once he became president, he made more military equipment available to police and demanded harsher penalties for those who harm officers. He also established a national commission on law enforcement. Though a judge recently ordered that group to stop working because it didn't hold public meetings and it lacked diverse perspectives. And as millions demonstrated against police brutality across the country, the president maintained his tough-on-crime approach. He cleared this overwhelmingly peaceful protest after vowing to use the military to control the unrest. And while he ultimately signed an executive order creating a national database to track police misconduct, he implied it wasn't a widespread issue.
Nobody is more opposed to the small number of bad police officers, and you have them. They're very tiny. I use the word tiny. It's a very small percentage.
The Justice Department has also complimented the president's agenda. It awarded nearly $400 million in funds for community policing and law enforcement jobs. And Attorney General Barr recently announced more than 5,500 people were arrested as part of Operation Legend, a new program designed to curb crime in major cities.
Violent crime can be addressed if we have the will to do it.
But it's worth noting something here. While the majority of Americans believe crime is on the rise, the reality is crime has been consistently dropping for decades.
They plummeted during the Bush administration, they plummeted during the Obama administration, and they have continued to fall during the Trump administration.
That is until this year. When it comes to the worst crimes, David Skalansky is a law professor at Stanford. He explained while crime is down overall this year, several cities are reporting an uptick in shootings and homicides. Trump has put some of the blame on recent civil unrest. But it's happening in both Democratic and Republican cities, and it's a bit more complicated.
Many of these things have to do with the COVID-19 pandemic. The fact that people have been stuck at home may be increasing rates of domestic violence. The fact that hospitals are overwhelmed may have made some assaults that previously would not have been deadly assaults. The fact that the pandemic has caused the economy to go into a tailspin may be responsible for some of the increase in homicide.
Meanwhile, Joe Biden has tried flipping the script on this and asking voters if they feel safe in Donald Trump's America.
This is a sitting president of the United States of America. He's supposed to be protecting his country, but instead he's rooting for chaos and violence.
Biden has touted his record as vice president, claiming violent crime fell 15% under the Obama administration. FBI data does show violent crime dropped almost 16% compared to the year Obama was elected, though the murder rate stayed about the same. But it's debatable whether the executive branch can actually change the crime rate.
Crime is mostly a local problem, and it is addressed locally and at the state level in the United States. Presidents, nonetheless, have a fair bit of power to influence how criminal justice policies are carried out across the United States. One
notable policy from the Trump administration is the First Step Act, often referred to as the most significant criminal justice reform bill of the 21st century. So far, it's shortened sentences and helped release thousands from prison. Joe Biden also says he wants to reduce incarceration rates and address racial disparities within the judicial system. Some say he's come a long way on this, considering he supported the 1994 crime bill that contributed to an increase in the prison population. though he certainly hasn't endorsed every progressive policy idea.
I've never, ever supported defunding police. Matter of fact, I think we should give more funding to police for different reasons.
When it comes to combating future violence, Biden wants to prioritize prosecuting hate crimes, whereas President Trump says he will, quote, bring violent extremist groups like Antifa to justice. But at the end of the day, many Americans just don't consider crime a major issue right now. Instead, they're more focused on coronavirus, poor leadership in government, and the economy. Whether crime matters as much as it has in past elections will be up to the voters to decide in the coming days.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.